I noticed today, as soon as you walked into the room, that you all noticed something about the classroom setup. What did you notice as soon as you walked into the room today? Guy, what did you notice?
The classroom's different.
How's it different?
Because there were some things up, but you took them down.
Okay. How else is it different? Lizzie,
The desk setup is different.
how is that different?
Because it used to be like all around the room.
Yep.
Now it's like in the whole room, like filling up the room.
How come there's so many more desks now? Eric?
Because classes are moving.
Right. So the other teacher brought all of her desks in. Did anyone else notice something about the room? Emily M.
That there was still two of your desks in here for Kayla and Caitlin.
You're right.
And that you also had a whole bunch of things at the front of the rail. And the desks are covering the back.
That's right. And the boxes at the front of the room are actually ones for Miss B. She brought in her boxes that are going at the front there so she can put them in her cupboard and stuff afterwards. But you're right, I did keep a couple of desks for students that need the couple of desks. Is there anything else that's different? Khadija?
The space was really tight because there were desks.
It's interesting that you said that.
Whose class is going to be
Miss Buchacchio for grade 6. So I have a question because I'm curious. When some of you walked in the room, you were like, oh, yay, it's back to normal, there's desks. And when other people walked in the room, they were like, oh, no, I liked it how it was before. So I'm curious to hear what you think and more so why. What do you think of the new classroom setup and why do you think it? Parker?
I'm not sure I really like it that much because the last like when the desks were spread out,
Yeah.
there's a lot of room where you can do stuff, and like now you have to it's just there's so much space being used.
There is. I noticed that too. Actually, a lot of the students in my other class noticed it as well. Muzamil?
I sort of like the other way with it better because like the whole time you're reading the pictures anywhere.
Yeah,
Now so it's so because this
that's right. And Khadija?
for all the desks are like circling in, there's a lot of space in the middle. But now there are desks everywhere, so if you're like moving, it's only like small amounts of space and so
It would be a lot harder. Eric?
The smallest space, so like it's cloudy and you don't have enough room to walk.
Yes. Emmanuel?
Like over there, like if you want to spread out your chair, you really can't.
No, you're almost like stuck in there. Omar?
it's like if like I think like wasn't like right now it's a little better because there was desks over here, so it was kind of harder to get in line at the end of the day.
Okay, so you like that it's easier to get in line now? Do we have to get in line at the end of the day? Not necessarily, but that still works. Lizzie?
Before you could spread out where you wanted in the middle of the floor, but now you're like squished beside partners beside you.
And Sydney?
I like it this way because if you have like work,
Yeah.
you can actually put it in your desk instead of like putting it on your lap or like a chair.
Okay. Yes?
You don't have to like share any, desk with someone.
Okay, so you don't have to do the sharing part. Kayla? Okay, so then I guess I'm curious. And people will probably have different advice. What we have set up now would probably be more normal to what you're used to. Raise your hand if you're more used to this. Who's more used to this? Okay, and it looks like basically everybody's used to this as part of the classroom. Not maybe in this classroom, but overall. But many of you voiced the opinion that you actually liked it better the other way, to have less desks and more space. So I guess I'm curious to know if you were to offer advice to teachers about their classroom setup, because rarely do we ever ask students about what they think. Now's like your chance to be asked. What would you say? How would you design a classroom? What would you want? Sydney? Or not, sorry, Sydney, Emily?
Couches for desks,
Okay, why?
because then, well, like, because then, like, depending, like, it would be good if you had couches for seats if you had a small class, but if you had a big class, it would be better with desks. But if you had a small class, you could use couches because 2 or more people, depending on the size of the couch, can sit on the couch.
You're right.
And then if you had lockers outside, you could keep all your stuff in there. And it would be less crowded around the room because you would only have so many couches. Like maybe only filling up that much of the area. And you would be able to fit the room in over if like new kids came in and they weren't sure if they wanted to sit at the couches. You could put like a desk in for them or something.
So you're saying have both setups? Have a desk and the couches, and then everyone's happy. Omar?
I think it's like better if desks like because if I set up my own room, I would make it like rows
Yeah.
and then some space here, maybe space there for like if you do a drama or something.
Why would you use rows?
Like it would be like
The long rows, but I'm just curious why you would use them.
so they could if there were groups you could sit in desks and they would focus together.
But do rows work well for group work?
Yeah, sort of.
No.
Yeah.
Okay. If you think yes, tell me why. And he's talking like not rows like single, I'm thinking. You're thinking more like this front row here, right? Where it's just a group of desks across. So do they work well for group work? Ryan, what do you
Yeah,
think?
because then you already have like a group put together, and then they would already be like where they have to be to work.
How do you collaborate in a row though?
Pardon?
How do you collaborate? How do you work together in a row?
Well, you could just be inside like this, and then you could be sitting and like getting ideas if you were working together, and then you'd be like, oh, thanks for that idea, and then you could write it down. Like you could have someone beside you, and then like you just have to stand.
So if you're sitting beside each other and you're getting ideas from somebody else beside each other, how many people are actually doing the writing?
Maybe they could look it up and figure out themselves if the group member is on them.
Okay. And Sydney?
Like if you need help or something, you want to ask the person you have beside you.
Is that the only time that you would have someone there that you could ask though? Is if you were sitting in a row?
No, you can also ask you, but
But even as a group, is there any way else that you could ask? Yes.
you can be like in a little group like this.
Yeah. And why does that group work well?
Because like all of you are together, and rather in a row, you're just like all spread out, so it's just harder to work
Oh.
together.
Okay. So then, Emmanuel, did you have a question too?
Yeah. If when you're in the group, you can, all you have to do is like just turn your head to the side or actually just look up your head, then you can ask.
What if you're in a group of 4? So I'm looking at that group along the back there. I'm going to pretend that Madison and Lizzie and Sydney and Kyra are all working together in a group of 4. And Madison is taking the notes. Kyra has something to say. What do you think? Eric?
I don't think the rules a bit. So if like somebody has a piece of paper and it's like all the way down there, then like if you want to write something down, you have to like keep passing it on and take forever. But in a group, you just put it in the middle and then like
It can all work.
like one white idea.
Okay. Lizzie?
And it's harder for Madison to hear what Kyra's saying because they don't know what's inside of the room.
Right. And my guess is that Kyra wouldn't be all that involved in what was happening in the group. But she's so far removed from the group that it'd be like, why bother listening to them? She could be off like doing something else if she wanted to be. So, I don't know. I'm just curious. So if it wasn't in rows, then how else could we set up our classroom? Emily?
In a giant circle.
Okay. Why do you like that idea?
Because then everybody's near each other.
Okay.
And if there's someone next to you who you, like, if they're talking to someone else, and then you wanted to talk to someone, you could talk to the other person, or you can talk to someone who's in front of you, because it would be like a giant circle and a circle.
But okay, but in the giant circle idea, are you all near each other? Okay, I'm looking here in the classroom, like a giant circle. Again, if we started over at St. Madison and then worked our way around to Emmanuel, how's Madison talking to Emmanuel? Just about. So I don't know. So what other ways could you set up your classroom? Omar? How many people do you think would be good in a little group?
Like 6 or 5.
Okay. What do you think?
I think that it would be a good idea to do like 6, like 1 of 3 and 1 row of 3.
And why do you think that would work?
Because then everybody can talk to each other in those groups that near each other.
And Sydney?
Well, like 4,
Okay.
people decide to that side, then we can talk to those people.
You can very easily collaborate that way, can't you? Ryan?
Do one big group,
Yeah?
so that like we start off like 1 at the end, and then you go 2 until your first, like until the last test 1, because then they can all communicate, and they're all the same group, and they wouldn't really be shared as much as like me to Madison.
But if they're in that way, even if you're 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, you might have 15 spots between you. Wouldn't you still be shouting a lot?
Not really, like maybe you'd still be shouting, but not as loud as me to Madison.
Maybe not.
So
So it's just interesting to see how all of you have some very opinions on how the classroom should be set up. And I kind of liked what Emily said at the beginning, that sometimes maybe it's a good idea to have some choice. Not everyone works well in the same situation. Look here. Look at the number of people that some chose to sit in a group of 4. Some kind of like a group of 2 or 3 where they can easily talk together. Some like being farther apart and having a little bit of independence. Some like to be by themselves and work. Some like to be kind of around in a circle and work. There's lots of different ways to learn. It's just interesting.